Just prior to the already beleaguered The Flash opening a year and a half ago, its director Andy Muschietti was announced as the director for James Gunn's upcoming Batman reboot, The Brave and the Bold. In light of how badly The Flash went on to fail, it was an announcement that did not age well. Now, Muschietti has spoken out on why he believed The Flash failed, in the process demonstrating why he must never be allowed anywhere near Batman. Let's see why not. This comes to us from Variety, and their story, The Flash director Andy Muschietti says the film flopped because it wasn't a movie that appealed to the 4 quadrants. It failed at that. The 4 quadrants referred to in the title, of course, are males over and under 25 and females over and under 25. No extra categories for various unassorted theys or thems. It would appear that's where they draw the line in Hollywood's accounting departments. Either way, from the headline alone then, we can see that Muschietti feels the movie failed to bring in at least one of these 4 quadrants. Let's see which one is being blamed here. The article reads, The Flash director Andy Muschietti has his own thoughts as to why the $200 million tentpole was a box office dud. Released in 2023, The Flash grossed $271 million by the end of its run. It's not a small figure by any means, but considering the budget size and projected marketing costs, the DC blockbuster needed to double that figure to get out of the red. And jumping forward a bit, The Flash failed, among all the other reasons, because it wasn't a movie that appealed to all 4 quadrants. It failed at that, Muschietti said on Radio 2's La Balera del Coso show. When you spend $200 million making a movie, Warner wants to bring even your grandmother to the theaters. That is true, of course, and the reason why most big-budget blockbusters are PG-13, so the tweenies can go even without their parents. Though the studio do need parents and grandparents alike to go as well beyond a certain price point. And The Flash, with its multiple rounds of extensive reshoots and extremely brokered production history, changing direction over the course of multiple managerial regimes, which we covered extensively here at Midnight's Edge, with practically all our advanced scoops from both Tom's sources as well as the late great Mikey Sutton ending up confirmed. With all that, The Flash was way beyond that price point. But was there any quadrant in particular that failed to show up? It turns out, yes it was. Muschietti went on to say that behind closed doors, he found people don't care about The Flash as much as other beloved DC icons like Batman or Superman. He noted this is especially true in the women under and over 25 demographics. His exact words being, I've found in private conversations that a lot of people just don't care about The Flash as a character, Muschietti said. Let's pause there before we continue with the rest of his quote, because there is of course a lot of truth to this. Not every single character out there is worthy of being given the full-on $200 million blockbuster treatment, and it would appear The Flash isn't one. That is not to say that he couldn't have been, if given the right cinematic treatment. The Flash did, after all, sustain a reasonably popular series on the CW for many years, and the character was arguably more recognizable and popular than was Iron Man prior to the 2008 movie starring Robert Downey Jr. But with that movie, Iron Man was given the right cinematic treatment, which shot the character from relative obscurity to the A-list overnight. I submit that The Flash could have been as popular as Iron Man if given a similarly good cinematic treatment, but obviously that didn't happen. Zack Snyder made some inspired casting choices and reimaginings, but Ezra Miller as The Flash was not among them. Ignoring his off-screen antics for the moment, on-screen, to paraphrase the aforementioned Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder, he went full retard. However inclusive his performance may have been to the neurodivergent community, it excluded everyone else from the get-go, and that is thrice so where Ezra Miller's off-screen antics are concerned. Even Variety concludes their piece by chiming in. Outside of box office woes, The Flash was plagued by lengthy delays and off-camera issues with star Ezra Miller. That is putting it mildly. I mean, leave the production issues aside. Only those actively following movies are even aware of those. But the very public madness of Ezra Miller went mainstream. I mean, the guy became the scourge of both Hawaii and Iceland, traveled around dressed like the Joker, and allegedly, as reported by Hollywood's own industry trades, he groomed young girls everywhere, violently assaulted fans on multiple occasions, had poor personal hygiene and stank to high heavens, lived in various communes and acted like a cult leader, going by they-them pronouns and preaching the religion of social justice and identity politics wherever he went, and, lest we forget, kept live ammo within the reach of a toddler. Quite the guy, in other words, but not necessarily the guy you want headlining a $200 million plus blockbuster, or would-be blockbuster. And apparently, the ladies in particular sat this movie out, for the director's quote about which audience quadrants failed the movie continued. Particularly the two female quadrants, that is over and under 25. All of that is just the wind going against the film, I've learned. Well,
what a twist!
Usually, it is male audiences that are being told a formerly male brand has been made female-centric, and then they're chided for not showing up. In this case, though, women are being blamed. It would appear then that however stunning and brave they-them he might have been, Ezra didn't draw the women. But in fairness, comic book movies are for the most part male-driven. They're not supposed to have a 50-50 parity between the genders within the audience. If there is, that means a huge portion of the male moviegoers didn't go, because these properties should intrinsically have greater male appeal. And of course, that point is lost in this desperate deflection. I suspect that Muschietti knows the real problem. He's just still too close to the process to say it plainly. That he singles out women here is a deflection to hide the fact that male audiences didn't go either. And they were the ones that statistically were more supposed to. The problem for The Flash wasn't that women didn't go, it was that relative to its budget, no one went. And they didn't go because the entire production was a disaster from the get-go, only made worse by changing regimes and thus visions, and an insane star. And to top all of that off, the movie itself was a piece of garbage which left no one, absolutely no one, excited for what Andy Muschietti could do as the director for James Gunn's Batman reboot. Luckily, by all outwardly appearances, Muschietti is no longer attached to Batman. No, there has been no official confirmation that he is indeed out, but as we've covered before, that he has the time to direct another movie before returning to Batman, let alone the most recent revelation that he hasn't even spoken to James Gunn in ages, all but confirms that he is indeed out and will not be directing Batman the Brave and the Bold, something no one will be upset to learn. Here's to hoping that with him gone, James Gunn will rethink that entire concept and remove Damian Wayne from proceedings, as no one wants to see the Batman version of Scrappy-Doo on screen. Let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments.